Let me see what's happening. Oh, it's going live on YouTube. Let me see. Then I can go share that YouTube. Let me see. I can see what's happening. YouTube. Can go share the YouTube channel now. Okay. What's happening? Okay, let's see what's happening here. Should be live. View on Facebook. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to 19.5 by True Light. So, I mean, today is an impromptu one, but we're going to talk about the UEFA Champions League. We're gonna talk about Luis Enrique. We're gonna talk about a lot of events that actually happened in this UEFA Champions League. We're gonna cover them today. We're gonna talk about how Luis Enrique actually turned that team around. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Remember, Luis Enrique was in his second year. His first year, he basically did not win anything with PSG. So there was a lot of fans being skeptical about what was going to happen, you know. But it's now clear that the man was on a mission. And the number one mission that Luis Enrique was on was all about discipline. Yes, discipline is a thing. It's a big thing in football. How you want your team to play. And when I'm talking about discipline, I'm not talking about the professionals being indisciplined as far as off the court or as far as just being disrespectful to one another. That's not the type of discipline I'm talking about. I'm talking about Luis Enrique calling out a player like Dembele in the group stages, telling him that if he doesn't change his ways or his attitude, he won't be playing. And he was sat out for the game against Arsenal. PSG was beaten in the group stages by Arsenal. And we saw the type of impact those games had. They had to go through playoffs. So PSG basically played two more games in the UEFA Champions League that the teams that they beat in the semifinals and in the finals, Arsenal and Inter Milan. Again, Mbappe was being disciplined. I'm sorry, not Mbappe. Dembele was disciplined, was sat out, and that game they lost. Another important factor in that Champions League is the signing during winter. I'm talking about the January transfer window. Kivicha, yes, the man from Napoli. He was signed during that January transfer window. Luis Enrique knew what he wanted. His squad was not yet complete, so he knew what he wanted. He went for the player. His salary was massively increased. And we saw how this has benefited PSG in the long run. Keep in mind, PSG has been on a project for 15 years. And for those who have been following PSG, although many have been trolling them that they are not win like the UEFA Champions League, they had some good squads. I mean, for those who honestly followed PSG under Ancelotti, under the present coach of Aston Villa, under the present coach of the English national team. I mean, PSG had some good squads. Even the squad that lost to Barcelona, to Messi's Barcelona, the famous La Remontada, that was a good squad. During that process, they went to the finals against Bayern Munich and were beaten by a very good Bayern Munich team. That was when Neymar, that was a year before Messi came. That was during COVID period. Remember that finals where they lost to Bayern Munich, 0-1. So PSG has been on a journey, okay? And I think the decision to bring in a guy like Luis Enrique, a guy of principle, A coach that could look to play into players' eyes, I mean, their superstars, and tell them, if you don't give me what I want, if you don't give me more, if you don't give me your all and more, then I will not be playing you. It doesn't matter if you're Mbappe. Remember, Mbappe played 1 year for him, and that year they did not win anything. If you're Dembele, it doesn't matter. Okay, I want all my players to defend, and I want all my players to attack. I think that was very, very vital for PSG this year. And the reason we are talking about PSG is because of what they have done. In the previous years, I just mentioned, they did not win anything to winning a treble. And when you look at the squad, their average age is 23.6 years old, one of the youngest squads to do it. I know Ajax is amongst the team. There are many other young teams that have actually won the Champions League. Okay. PSG is one of them, one of the youngest squads to win it. I want to also highlight guys like Hakimi, Ashraf Hakimi. He is a product of Real Madrid. Real Madrid has been chasing this right back for quite a while, but he remained loyal, decided to remain loyal. Okay. And that has paid off because now he has won the Champions League. And he did not only win as a squad player, he was very influential in the UEFA Champions League this year, scoring goals, assists, and in how PSG decided to play tactically. I've spoken about Dembele, the arrival of Kivicha, another player that has been key. No, before I talk about Vitinha, let me talk about Donnarumma, who left AC Milan. Remember, at one point, this was one of the best keepers, okay, coming out of Serie A, the best young keepers, great prospect. He decided to leave AC Milan, went to PSG for big money. Many criticize him. And during these 15 years where PSG has been trying to chase, he has also been one of the players that has underperformed. So many errors along the line against Real Madrid, against many different teams, and many doubted him. But this year, he was key. Man of the match against Arsenal. Okay. Some great performances. Best goalkeeper of the tournament. Donnarumma has been key. Let's talk about Vitinha. Vitinha is one of the key players that makes that team run as it's supposed to be. Luis Enrique is a product. You know, he played for Real Madrid. He played for Barcelona. He won Champions League with Barcelona as a coach. Yes, he won Champions League with Barcelona as a coach. And many did not actually give him the credit because that was when Pep had just left. It was Pep's team. Messi was there. A lot of people did not give him the credit. Okay? But now they are giving him the credit. So that holding midfielder role is iconic. From Barcelona, the Busquets is very, very iconic. And that's another position that Luis Enrique left his mark. Keep in mind, Vitinha had been with PSG. Okay, so he played with the Messis and all that. He's been with PSG. But now all of a sudden you see all these players just coming together as one, as a team in a short amount of time. The previous year, as I just said, they won nothing to winning a treble. Okay, so this is no small turnaround. It's a big turnaround that we must actually mention. It's a big, big turnaround. So that's why I'm taking my time to talk about this, because PSG did not only beat Inter, they beat a lot of good teams in this tournament. Arsenal was a good team. Liverpool was a good team, EPL champs. Inter Milan, unfortunately for them, they missed out on, you know, all three tournaments trophies this year, but they were on their road to also win a treble. So this PSG team has had one of the biggest turnarounds in football. 15 years of big investment. It finally pays off when one of their best players, I'm talking about Mbappe, left PSG for Real Madrid. And before I get to the tactics, I want to talk a little bit about Mbappe because there's been talk. People are saying it's because of Mbappe that PSG had not won La Liga. I'm sorry, the Champions League. I wouldn't go that far to say it's because of Mbappe. What I'll say is that I will refer to a conversation that Luis Enrique had with Mbappe. A conversation talking about the importance of leadership. A conversation that brought these two, manager and his top player, to talk about Michael Jordan, the leadership, the type of leadership that Michael Jordan portrayed while on the pitch. Okay, I won't talk about off the pitch because Mbappe is a player you don't hear about, incidents off the pitch and all that. But there's always that big ego. And even in his first season at Real Madrid, and I'm not saying that this is Mbappe's fault. Mbappe, it's like a luxury car where you drive on the weekends. Yes, that's Mbappe. Messi was like that. Cristiano Ronaldo was like that. There are many players. Zlatan was like that. So it's that big ego. However, some of these players, these luxury players, because Samuel Eto'o was like that. Okay, but when it came to Barcelona, when it came to playing football, he will drop back and do the dirty work and defend just to win. And I think that's what Luis Enrique was trying to portray, was trying to say to Mbappe, that you must learn how to defend in my team for me to be able to put you in the best position to win a Champions League. In my opinion, that's the type of message what Luis Enrique, because he did it with Dembele. He did the same thing with Dembele last December. Sat Dembele down, told him, if you don't improve, I ain't gonna play you. Because when Mbappe left with a lot of goals. With a lot of goals. So how do you compensate for those goals? That was the question. Luis Enrique, he knew about Dembele. He knows about, no matter what happened at Barcelona, now Dembele was in a situation where he could be the leader. Dembele was in a situation where he could be rested and not play many games and still be fresh because he has a long history of injuries. So he was in that situation. And good for him enough. He's 28 years. He's not getting younger at his peak. Dembele sat and listened. I think that was the type of message that he was trying to pass also to Mbappe. But Mbappe had already also made up his mind to leave Paris Saint-Germain. So that's why I will not say it's because of Dembele. I'm sorry, it's because of Mbappe. I keep mixing this student. It's because of Mbappe. It's not because of Mbappe that PSG could not win. However, his style of play was hurting PSG. His style of play did not give room for the younger players to express themselves, as we have seen under Dembele. Fast forward, Mbappe's gone. Dembele comes as a new leader. During the group stages, Luis Enrique tries different formations. It does not really work because PSG is not scoring. That's why they struggle, in the group stages. in the UEFA Champions League, where they almost did not actually make it. That victory against, I think, Manchester City put them through, and they were in a position to actually make that incredible run that we just saw them making, especially with Kvacha, coming from Napoli. That was the guy Luis Enrique wanted. So brilliant move. Okay. The team now clicks. One of their greatest weapon is the press. When PSG presses you, they strangle you because they're young. As I said, 23.6 years. That's the average age of the PSG squad. So they are coming for you. They are pressing relentlessly. Okay. How are you going to react? That's the question. We saw how that they tortured Inter Milan. Inter Milan crumbled. Inter Milan did not know what hit them. Inter Milan had not played a squad like PSG. Some would say, yeah, Barca also plays the same type of game, but go watch the game Inter Milan had against Barca, both at in Barcelona and at home. Barca could not defend. That's the difference between Barca and PSG. Barca could not defend. Meanwhile, PSG can defend. They play high line, but they can press you. They have the speed. They will strangle you. And those are one of the difficulties that they actually, imposed on Inter Milan. From the start of the game, now let's get into the game a little bit. From the start of the game, you see PSG has been doing this in their previous games against Liverpool, against Arsenal. They give you the ball intentionally because they want to press you from get-go. They don't want you to get comfortable. They don't want you to get comfortable within the game. They want to press you from the start. And that's what they actually did, And unfortunately for Inter Milan, they had no way out. The press was ruthless. Then you have Dembele, who was playing just everywhere. The most interesting thing about Dembele is that he plays as a false nine. He's comfortable to play on the left. He's comfortable to play on the right because he's a player. He can shoot with both legs. So how do you defend such a player? Okay. His mobility was a problem for the old legs. Keep in mind, Inter Milan is one of the oldest teams. So his mobility was just too much for them. And although Inter Milan plays in a 3-5-2, more men in the midfield, PSG found a way to outnumber them in the midfield. And that's what killed them. Okay. They could not come close to PSG. They could not press nothing. And that's what killed them. The left back of PSG, he was destroyed. If you look at the first and second goals, okay, DiMarco, the run of Hakimi, because PSG has that way of playing fluid football. The right backs popping in and out. Look at the position where Hakimi actually scored. He was like a center back, a center forward, I'm sorry. And it's his run that threw the Italian defender off. It's that run made by Hakimi that had the Italian defender struggle, and it was actually too late because by the time he realized that, Hakimi had stopped on his tracks, there was no way to recover. There was no way to recover for him. And that was goal number 1. But this is all thanks to Luis Enrique. The press, Dembele's role as a leader, Vitinha, the goalkeeper. I'm not even talking today about Mendes. Because Mendes, in the finals, he did not make some of the overlapping runs that he was making against Arsenal or different teams. His job, because he knew that the wing back of Inter Milan, the right wing back of Inter Milan, Dumfries, was a dangerous player. In the semi-finals, he had 2 goals and he had 3 assists against Barcelona. So it was a guy that they had to stop, put traps on, and that was what Mendes did. Meanwhile, Hakimi was given that freedom to move up front, and he ended up scoring in that finals, the first goal in that finals. So when you look at Inter Milan, what happened to Inter Milan? Because Inter Milan, in the first group, in the group stages, Inter Milan had considered only 5 goals. Only 5 goals. After 9 games, something like that, they had considered only 5 goals. The team with the fewest goals. So everybody was talking about their defense. In the final alone, they considered 5 goals. Okay. Of course, we had seen them concede almost that many goals against Barcelona. They considered 3 each leg against Barcelona. So what really happened for Inter Milan? I wouldn't say that PSG was 5 goals better than Inter Milan. No. What happened is that after 2 goals, and then the third goal came out immediately after 10 minutes into the second half, Inter Milan had no hope. They had no solutions. They had no answers to the problems that PSG was asking. They had no answers. That's basically what happened. They came out with the Catenaccio, the Italian way of play, defense and attack. But every time they tried to go counter-attack, what happened? Either the balls were long, the balls were out of place. Chiram was not in the game. Laturo, not in the game. So you have 2 of your goal scorers that are not even touching the ball. And when they touch the ball, they are basically defending in their own half. Opportunities are not created. How do you expect to get back in the game? There was no way for Inter. No matter how much of good work Inzaghi had done, there was no way out for Inter because PSG was just too much. They had not played a very balanced team like PSG. The closest they came to was Barcelona. Barcelona did not have any defense. Every time PSG actually had not also, Inter Milan also had not also fallen behind, by score. Okay, once, in the return leg against Barcelona. But with against PSG, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. So they had to chase the game now, and you're chasing the game against a team like PSG. That's going to be very, very difficult. Then we also saw the emergence, of course, of Doué, another young player, 19 years old. He just turned 20, 19 years old. So Luis Enrique is doing this with kids his way. The team gelled within a year after his first year where they did not win anything. We see Luis Enrique. And there's always a story, that accompanies such great performances. He lost his daughter, so she was like an inspiration for the squad because they were banners. So he had already attached himself, that emotional. And this was very actually good for PSG because, right, PSG is one of those teams where fans always complain that players that come in are like missionaries, coaches that come in. But Luis Enrique, although he had lost the title in the first year, he got them to believe, because they did not even win La Liga, in the first year, but he got them to believe that they were on the right track and that his project was the right one. The fans bought to it, the players bought into it, everybody was emotional. That's great coaching. That's great coaching. One of those stories where you really have to follow, get into the coach's life, and see how that was possible. Because tactics, everybody can understand tactics. You understand? But how do you get the players to believe that you have the right project? That is not something easy to do. We have seen coaches, as I said earlier, we have seen coaches, some good coaches come through. Okay. I'm talking about Emery, Unai Emery. Unai Emery. Okay. He was at PSG. He almost won this. He almost won the UEFA Champions League. If not of that La Remontada. It was against Barcelona. Of course, if Barcelona beat you with Messi, with Neymar, you know, you can have an excuse. It's Barcelona. Ancelotti was also there. Okay. The current English coach, the German, he was also there. Pochettino. So there have been some great coaches go over there. But how did Luis Enrique, you know, get them to buy into what he was selling? Oh, look at my young brother Elango. Oh, but oh, Benefonde, this guy is a staunch PSG fan. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. He's a staunch PSG fan. He's happy. He called me. He hit my phone. I did not return his calls. He was just crazy. Well, now he gets to talk. His team has done a great job. So I was talking about Luis Enrique. So how did he get them to buy, into his plan? Where everybody was emotional about it. His family got involved, the fans involved, and they went to Allianz Arena in München to win it for the first time. After 15 years of investment, of course, Manchester City also won this tournament. I'm just talking about Manchester City because it's the type of investment they also went through. I mean, the type of projects where it's big money coming. But I think the way City won theirs is by buying. And at some point under Pep Guardiola, they were dominating. They also went to finals one time before they actually they finally won. But PSG had to forget about just buying your way out, because in the year that they did not really spend big on players, they decided to go with the young players. That's the year that they won. A great turnaround. So there are so many stories coming out of this game, because it's gonna be one of the football greats, because this PSG team, they are young, so they ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Of course, they ain't going anywhere anytime soon. There are some good teams. Real Madrid coming back. Barcelona is gonna try to come back. Liverpool, Manchester City. The Champions League is not that easy. Okay, and this was the first year of that Swiss format, a different format for the Champions League. But the team that I actually feel sorry for is really Inter Milan, because Inter Milan, I don't think that Inter Milan were ready for that finals. I don't think if they replay that finals, Inter Milan will be ready. I hear some people say that Inter Milan was not deserved to be in the finals. I wouldn't go that far to say that. But Inter Milan did not show up. There was no way for them to show up, because their style of play and their approach was just battered, by Luis Enrique's approach to the game. It was basically the tiki-taka, passing football, movement, creating spaces against compact football, stay compact behind, defend, and try to hit on the counter. It did not work, because the press of PSG was so good. Even when PSG decided to sit back in the second half, let Inter have the ball a little bit, Inter mentally was already destroyed. They could not put 1, 2, 3 passes together. Even when they decided to go long, it was ineffective. And PSG was the one that hit them on the counter-attack to score that third goal. So PSG could beat them many different ways, as we saw. But they started with the most effective way, which is pressing, passing the ball around, the fluidity of Dembele. For me, Dembele is the most important player of that squad because without his goals, PSG would have struggled. But he was able to score. He was able to drop deep to the right, to the left, play make. His speed, and there was no time he stopped running. I heard the stats about him running about, I think it was 9 kilometers. Was that the semi-final game against Arsenal where he actually went out with an injury? He averaged where he was an average of maybe 9 kilometers per game or something like that. I have to check those stats. But that's somebody who had played 70 minutes and he was actually averaging, in that game, 9 kilometers game. So that's the difference between his leadership with this PSG and when Mbappe was actually there. Because you see, he bought into the ways of the coach. Because he knows at age 28, here is my opportunity. I went to Barcelona. I was supposed to be the man at Barcelona. It didn't work out. Too many injuries. Many different things beyond his control. Now he has an opportunity at PSG. He has an opportunity to win the Ballon d'Or. Of course, he has an opportunity to win the Ballon d'Or. And it will not be because he is a better player. It will not be because he's a better player than Mbappe. It will be because he decided to give his all. Okay, because if you go look at the number of goals Mbappe was scoring for PSG, that's a lot. But when it came to the Champions League, it didn't count for much because they were not a team. Meanwhile, Dembele's goals, his leadership, running up and down that pitch, defending and creating for others. He bought to the ways of the coach. And that's exactly why PSG won the Champions League. You see, some of these conversations I like to have, there are so many football fans out there who have different opinions on how PSG won this, on how the game was planned. So in future conversations, I will make sure I do bring them either as a guest so that we can have this conversation. Because during the summer period, most leagues are over. I know the FIFA Club competition, World Cup for clubs is coming on, so there'll be some football to talk about, but also there's a transfer market, Buemo going to Manchester United. It's not yet done. The other players, Konya, already at Manchester United. Some people have different opinions. Why is Buemo going at Manchester United? So why is Buemo going to Manchester United? However, if you see, Buemo makes about £45,000 a week for Brentford. And the reason I'm talking about this is because we have to keep in mind that these players, there's the football side of things and there's the financial side of things. When you score 20 goals in the EPL and you've been consistent in previous years, there comes a time where you will want the valuation to match your tactics. And that's what's happening with Buemo. Some say, why Manchester United? Of course, Manchester United is the team willing to pay big money for him, and it's a player that he's a team's player. So he's proven in the EPL. So I think if he goes to Manchester United, for him, it's going to be a good move because his salary will definitely increase. So, of course, this type of discussions I will want us to to have this type of discussions. I will bring Innocent. I don't know your last name, but Innocent is one of the guys I have in mind. We actually talk football on different forums on Tory Day. I want to pick up his mind. There are questions, my questions. I want to ask him on my platform because they talk with a lot of passion. So I would like to have these conversations on my platform. And please, I'm sorry for the impromptu. Next time, I'm going to make sure that I put out a flyer so that we can plan this and we have a schedule on when I will come and have these conversations. And please also go follow my page. I have a page on Facebook, 195. So just go find 195, follow. I want to get to 100, at least 100 subscribers so that I can be making my life on that channel, on that page. I'm sorry, it's a page. So it's always a pleasure having these football conversations with you guys. I will be putting out flyers so that we can have a schedule. I'll be putting out the dates ahead of time so that you guys can know when I come on to talk football on 95. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Thanks for staying on with me.